Welcome to the Reclaim Leader podcast. I'm Jason Tucker.
And I'm Jesse Skiffington.
We're two pastors in the trenches who are passionate about church health for greater gospel impact.
We share the ups and downs of ministry, strategies that worked for us,
and some that didn't.
Best practices and practical tools for church leadership.
The goal, to help all of our churches flourish. Let's get started.
See another sunrise, sing a little song.
Welcome back to the Reclaim Leader podcast. I'm going to say Happy New Year, even though this is the second episode of 2026. This is the first one we've recorded on the other side of 2026. So Happy New Year, Jesse. How's it going, man?
Happy New Year, Jason. Yeah, I hope your resolutions are coming true and haven't failed already, right?
Exactly right.
I was joking around with our congregation the other day. It's like, New Year, new me. And it's like, New Year, same me. The guy that went to bed on December 31st with good intentions to have less screen time is the same guy that watched 3 college football playoff games on New Year's Day. So same me, same challenges, but kind of an excuse to turn the page and start a new calendar year and get after it. So looking forward to doing that here.
Yeah. How was Christmas and New Year's at Marine View? Was it good?
Yeah. We had a great time. It was one of those things where there were some bumps that happened. We have 3 Christmas Eve services, and at the 5 o'clock, this is getting way into the weeds at Marine View. So just that's how we're going to start the year. Apparently,
hey, listen, we're in the weeds.
So we were having our service, and it tends to be our highest attended one, of course. And about 10 minutes into the service, one half of the sanctuary went dark. So stage lights, screen, half of it just died. Right. And I'm like, what is happening? And so we just keep going because what are you going to do, right? One screen's working. We got 2 screens, one on each side. And so we're just going forward with it as if this is how it's supposed to be, because what else can you do? And I'm sitting up there during one segment, and the lights on the other side sort of like start flickering. And I'm like, we're about to lose the other half of the sanctuary. We're about to truly have a candlelight Christmas Eve service
by necessity.
Anyway, it ended up not going out, and we made it through to the end. And one of our team ran down and flipped the breaker that had gone off, and we were back in time for joy to the world. So during Silent Night, when all the lights were down, they flipped the breaker back on. We got back to joy to the world. But it turns out one of our team, having really good intentions, had plugged in like this slushy maker machine in the room right next to the sanctuary, kind of our green room for our worship team. And they wanted to have these cool slushies for our team in between the services. But apparently it drew so many amps that it blew a circuit. Anyway, so best foot forward on Christmas Eve, man. That's just, these
are the kind of stories I want to hear on this podcast. I mean, come on.
Tell you, man, ministry in the trenches, you never know. And what was cool though, we had a few people come back from Christmas Eve, some of whom had been at 5, and they said, you guys were just real people. And it made me feel like I could be at home here. And so they came back. So
that's awesome.
But
did you guys get a lot of visitors? Do you get a lot of folks?
Yeah, I would say we're at usually double, if not a little more than our typical Sunday on a Christmas Eve attendance, maybe even, 3 times, sometimes as many. And so lots of guests, lots of family in town. They had a gentleman named Denny come to our later evening service, and he says, this is the only time that I come to church during the year. And I'm like, you're not supposed to tell the pastor that, right? Like, thanks, man. Thanks. But he's like, but I love coming on Christmas Eve, and I come to some of your jazz things, and I don't have a church, but if I ever need a church, you're the church that I'll come to. Like, so it's good.
That's
what
good.
About you guys?
That's great. Yeah, it was great. Great Christmas. And, it's quite a race to get through December for all of us. So it was a wonderful Christmas Eve. We just had great services, great getting to see everybody. It's probably my favorite time of year, just to it feels like a big family reunion.
Totally.
So it was great. Worship was great. Although I did hear back that somebody thought that I preached too long on Christmas Eve. So, there's that.
That's pretty, you got to pay attention to those voices.
I know. Well, the thing is, I gave a regular length sermon, and I don't always. So sometimes I'll shorten it up, but this one I just felt like I wanted to do that.
Come on.
And I don't know. It is what it is. But
did you give him the mac and cheese at least?
I gave him the mac and cheese. Okay. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Just baked a little longer.
That's right. So New Year, and I know that man, we're excited for the podcast. In a couple of weeks, we're going to have Kara Powell on, so I'm excited about that interview, talking about her book, Future Focused Church. And I don't know, as part of the spirit of the new year, I noticed on this platform we're recording, which is Restream, they have a bunch of background music we could try. So I thought maybe for our listeners, before we get into today's content, I thought I'd try it out and they can sort of let us know what they think. All right, how's this?
Okay. Let's hear it.
Let's try a little. It's loading here.
All right.
Podcast time. Everything,
Let's
man.
hear your voiceover. We got to have a
We're just
voiceover.
chilling. We're just chilling. We're talking church.
Two pastors in the trenches.
Renewal. Okay. Let me try another one. Wait, you're going to like this one. Hey, guys.
This is going to be a little more upbeat.
Yeah, that's,
Too positive.
let's go, pastors. You can do it, buddy.
One of those flashy colored microphones in front of me right now.
Or actually, this is probably more my speed right here.
All right, let's hear it.
Welcome, everyone. We're here today to talk about the church.
Picture yourself walking on the side of a stream.
You're breathing
Let
in,
those anxious thoughts dissolve and fade away.
breathing out. I don't know, we'll probably put everyone to sleep. All right, last one. Okay, this is just way too fun. Okay, here we go. Wait for it. Here we go. This is too fun. I don't know why they added this feature. In a world where the church needs help, you have been called for such a time as this. This is cinematic.
This is so good.
I love it. Okay, this is really
That
stupid.
might be our scene, that one. I don't know. This is serious business for serious.
Just having a little fun. Okay, we'll kill that. I don't know. Some of you might dig it. So let us know. Let us know in the comments. All right. I was thinking about, kind of going through the new year and going through what's happening in the life of the church. We're going to start a series next week, but before that, I want to talk about the miracle of compound interest. I was thinking about this, Jesse, because I was thinking about retirement and how woefully unprepared I am.
Christians don't retire, Jason. You're a pastor until
Well, this Christian will never be able to retire.
Okay, fair enough.
So there's that. But I was thinking about, we kind of looking over the new year and everything. And I was thinking about how there's a ministry axiom in here about leading change and working toward church health and renewal. And that is this. I realize that the church that I serve right now is the result of compounding decisions made a long time ago.
Yeah.
The church I walked into 13 years ago was the reflection of all those decisions that had compounded years, and became whatever its identity was. And then I was thinking the church that we have now is a result of decisions we made back in 2012, 2013, and how that takes time in order to compound. And I mean it as an encouragement, and that is the church that we feel like God's calling us to be is going to be the result of the compound interest of decisions we make today. And I want to encourage pastors, because this was an encouraging thought to me, is like, what important decisions can I stop putting off? Because I need to make them today so that the church can finally get to where it's supposed to be, in a place of greater faithfulness. It's not going to happen overnight, but these little seemingly small decisions that either I'm putting off or I don't know, not paying attention to, they can have big results.
Yeah. I called it, there a friend of mine that's pastor out here. He calls these bucket list items. And I don't know if that's quite the right way to talk about them, but they're things that he knows need to get addressed, or maybe he's been putting off. But what he started doing, he just keeps them on a list at the bottom of his session meeting agenda with his leadership team. And he's like, as time allows, we want to bring those things into the equation. But we do that a lot, Jason. We put off little decisions maybe that we know about, and we kind of go, I don't know, I don't want to get it right or wrong or whatever. But I like that idea. The decisions we're making now are going to set us or somebody else up for success down the road, or maybe not if we just sit on our hands.
Exactly right. And there are so many, I can't tell you how many churches I've talked to where there's some sort of critical point in their history where they decided not to make a move on something because they thought it was too risky or they thought it was too expensive or whatever. And they regret not making that move because what they didn't realize was their ability to make that move now is at least only half as what it was back then. In other words, they only have at best half the resources and energy and viability that they did back when they had the opportunity to do something about it. And now I wouldn't say it's too late, but they've made it a lot harder on themselves. And so I was thinking, what are some things that I'm doing? And I think an example of that, now this is probably a medium thing, not a big, not a small thing, but when we changed our worship schedule this fall, we all of us on the inside sort of knew this was a decision that needed to be made. And honestly, I kept punting it because I just didn't want to rock and roll with the resistance.
Yeah.
And now that this fall is behind us and we saw it was an incredible success, I'm kicking myself a little bit that we didn't make that decision sooner.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, compound interest. And so anyway, I'm thinking about what are the things that we need to make decisions on now here in 2026 that are going to help our church continue to move forward. Jesse, do you approach this process organically or is it something you sit down and intentionally sort of openly ask your leadership team or your staff or your elders, hey, what do we feel like God's pointing us to? What's that look like for you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think for me, it's some of both, right? There's some things that you go as the leader or someone who's, I think sometimes if you're the senior pastor, head of staff, or solo pastor, you kind of are the one that's in the position to see the whole system at any given time. So you kind of get a global view. And I think sometimes that's where you go, I have a sense that this is what, maybe we need to do. Or maybe you see something kind of bubbling up that's organic and you want to go with that and kind of set yourselves to the direction the Spirit is moving. But a question that we just asked in our staff team meeting and we'll ask at our first session meeting here in January is, what do we want God to do in 2026 in us? What do we want God to do through us? And just kind of brainstorming and thinking and beginning to build potentially some strategy or some, ideas, concrete things that we could implement around some of that thought. And, for us, we're thinking about young adults in our community and going, why God's put these younger adults on our heart for a reason. What does that mean? What do we want God to do through us for them? And so sometimes it's organic and as a response to something we're noticing or seeing, and maybe something I'm noticing or feeling. And at other times it's part of that strategic rhythm of asking those kinds of questions and seeing what comes up.
Yeah. And a lot of pastors too, they're just sort of like, what? I don't know what we should be working on. And that's when I just feel like you always need some sort of a primer to help get you going. So maybe it's a podcast you listen to like ours or, another podcast. Or maybe it's, picking up a book or meeting with another pastor. I noticed Carey Nieuwhof put out his annual Disruptive Church Trends for 2026.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that he does that. I don't love that it's kind of a negative approach, the disruptive.
Sure.
But whatever, it gets clicks probably better than things that will help. But I really like that he does that every year. I think they're very well thought out. I tend to agree with most of the things. I mean, at least not agree with, that doesn't make any sense, but I can resonate with in my context the things that he's saying for sure.
Right.
And it's helpful, even though our context is very different. So 2025, as he said, was the first year, this was just from an email that he sent, was the first year we began to see the stirrings and anecdotes associated with revival becoming statistically meaningful. He said, Bible sales are up 41.6% since 2022. Yeah. And that resonates. Way more people are interested in reading the Bible and getting to know Jesus than I've ever remember seeing. Second, he said, Christian music streams are up 50% since 2019. That also tracks. But I've also noticed it's like country artists, it's gone full Christian country. It's like everybody's collabing on worship. And whatever that means, at the very least, it means that there is in the public space, there seems to be a real interest in worship music, learning about Jesus, spiritual life, that sort of thing. He said spiritual app downloads rose 79.5% since 2019. But he started talking, that's where he goes into his church trends. It isn't all good news as we start off 2026. I just want to read a couple more things, and I'll tell you why in just a second. He said, 46% of U.S. Christians do not consider their faith to be central to their lives, which is, I think you'd agree, a bit of an issue. Similarly, half of all U.S. adults, 48%, now qualify as non-practicing Christians. And the story of Gen Z so far, and this was the only point where my context is a little different than what's being seen kind of globally or nationally. And that is Gen Z young men are coming back to church or engaging in church, and Gen Z women are disengaging. That's the only thing I'm not seeing. And maybe it's because the Northeast is a little bit behind whatever the trend is. I mean, I remember when we were starting contemporary worship and Shout to the Lord was still new, 20 years later. So who knows? Maybe we're just behind on that, but we are seeing both young Gen Z men and women coming and engaging in the life of the church in a way that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
So why mention all of this? Because I think this is wonderful fuel for you to be thinking about, what does God want our church to be doing based on these trends, based on what we're seeing? And I think taking your team and just asking questions like, hey, let's go through Carey Nieuwhof's list. Are we seeing these things in our context? Are we not? Why? What does it mean? What can we do about it? These are the kinds of questions that we have to start asking in order to figure out what are the decisions we need to invest in now so that we get compounding interest later for the sake of the kingdom.
I love it. And I think small groups there at Tower Hill is a great example of a decision you guys made. If I remember the story right, you started out and it's kind of fits and starts a little bit, finally got traction on a couple of groups, and now it's a substantial part of your ongoing ministry. So, those small decisions that you didn't give up on early have now compounded into lots of landing points for lots of people coming in. So, anyway, I don't know if that was true to your experience, but
no, it was. And I was just thinking, so getting some of these resources and kind of thinking through them, I think helps us identify what are some things that we feel like we want to put before God. And hey, Gen Z is coming back to church, and maybe we're not seeing a lot of that in our church. Why? What can we do about it? Or maybe we are seeing it and we don't know what to do with them now that they're here. And I know a lot of churches in that position. They're just like, all of a sudden we had all these young people come in and we're like, great, but I don't know what to do, And I think too, so I have my book coming out in a few weeks, and it's all sort of talking about this. I did want to share with our listeners that it's happening, because I think that can also be a good resource. And it's always weird, like saying my book is a great resource.
I'll say it for you. This is Jason's book.
Oh, look, there it is. There's a copy.
It's February, right? That it goes
February 3rd. It comes out.
Awesome. Hey, and congrats on this. This is a big deal.
You.
I mean, I'm quoted in there a few times, so I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, nice. So you can pre-order it now. It's available for a discount if you pre-order it. It's on Amazon. It's called Speaking Their Language, Leading Your Church to Reach Younger Generations. And one thing in that book that it's trying to give you a good process to work through and make change toward greater faithfulness in your church. But it's also kind of, what are the practical ways, or what are the things that you should be looking at as a church as possible targets to work on? And so I tried to do both, and get the book and see if I was successful. But
that's right.
There's 4 focus areas in that book that I sort of slow down on. Like, you go through the process, and then I slow down on worship, next generation ministry, evangelism, and adult discipleship. And I think those are really great targets if you're not sure what you should be thinking about as far as reaching. I think any one of those 4 to spend some time wrestling with and asking questions about is really worth your while. So again, whether it's my book, whether it's Kara Powell's book, we're going to talk about that in a couple of weeks, or any other resource, Barna's research, Carey Nieuwhof, all that stuff. I think reading this, I think it does something. It opens you up and starts thinking with some clarity about what are the possible areas we could be working on as a church.
Yeah. Well, and anytime we're able to kind of step out of our little world for a minute and kind of hear some other voices, it gives us fresh eyes for our own organization, our own church. It's the old leadership adage of getting on the balcony. It's hard to work on it when you're working in it, right? And so finding ways, reading a book or jumping on a podcast or checking out a newsletter, like those things get us out of our daily grind for a minute. And I think it's just helpful. I mean, anytime I go to a conference or I hear somebody else preach, I listen for about a third, and then my brain starts dreaming up all the things that I want to do next or talk about or whatever. Maybe that makes me a bad student or a short attention span or whatever, but that's the kind of thing I need sometimes to get the creative thinking going again and the ideas to kind of carry us forward.
Yeah. Just remember, big goals are accomplished through small steps. But I will say this, there are times you're going to have to take, and I say, I don't know if it's annually, but it feels like at least once every couple of years, the small steps are important, but you're going to have to take at least one strategic big swing every once in a while. One strategic risk that you feel is a big thing. And honestly, I feel like God works through that in ways that I never see coming. I think part of it's because it's a little bit of the fear and anxiety about it. Is this going to work out? I don't know. I think, was this the right decision to make? I don't know. And it doesn't mean being careless and just swinging at any bad pitch. You got to wait for a good pitch, right? To go with that analogy. But I do think I see a reticence in pastors to take that swing. And I think it's largely for fear of resistance. What do you think? Does that seem to resonate?
Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking through that.
Or energy is the other thing.
Yeah,
like,
energy. I would say
I don't have the energy to do that thing.
I think sometimes the things that kind of give us excitement for a moment to become like, who's going to do it? Because then it's going to end up on my plate, right? So maybe it's an energy thing, or it could be the fear of resistance, or the last time we floated an idea, it got thrown right back in our face, and we just don't have the kind of the fight in us anymore. I think for me now, we're both been at our churches for quite a long time now. And some of it is, I'm like, I like what we came up with. I feel good about it. I'm comfortable with it. And this represents a pretty big change. It's not a tweak of something. It's like a new thing. That means I'll have to learn and grow. And am I still up for that kind of thing? So I think some of it's on us, and then some of it's just the grind of leading change in churches can be tough. We know we're going to get punched in the face a little bit. But what about you, Jason? What gets in the way when you're thinking of taking a big swing?
My comfort.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a really terrible answer when I say it. But I think it's like with all the things that I do in the rhythm of my week, there's already a lot to do. And so I think about throwing a wrench in all that to deal with this extra thing that has the possibility to go sideways. Why go sideways when everything's going so smoothly? You know what I mean? Like, I think that's one of the reasons why I go slow. And maybe that's not a terrible thing, but I don't think that's a good reason.
Yeah, the status quo has a huge pull.
Status quo does.
It really does. I mean, even maybe the most entrepreneurial people is like, I can't stand the status quo. I got to innovate and change all the time. But I think we are in some ways as human beings wired for rhythm and routine that pulls us towards a status quo, because then our brain has to work less hard, and it's something we know, and it's predictable. And maybe for some seasons that's good. But then when it's time to take a big swing, if we're not careful, we'll get so rutted into stuff that then making a change is going to be really tough. So anyway, I think just thinking about the small decisions that can lead us to good change over time. And then if we're doing that, kind of what I hear you saying is then there's an opportunity at some point to take a big swing, that if we're making small decisions over time that are moving us, maybe we'll be ready for it in a way that we wouldn't otherwise. Yeah.
Or, to go with that analogy is we'll train our eye to see the strike.
Yeah, that's right.
And be able to swing accordingly.
That's right. So. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's it, man. Listen,
love it. Good
these
stuff.
Small decisions, your future you and your church will thank you for the decisions that you make today. And yeah, I hope this is helpful, folks. Reach out to us anytime. I've been having some great conversations with pastors lately. So again, feel free, Jason or Jesse at reclaimedleader.com. We're here for you. The whole reason we're doing this podcast is because we want to help the church, the larger church, to continue to be healthy, to grow, to bear fruit for the kingdom of God, and for churches to be more faithful and fruitful. I mean, that's the whole point.
Yeah, man.
So if we could be a little part of helping to do that, I feel like that's mission accomplished. So anything before we sign off here today?
Well, if we can get our intro music figured out, then I think probably we'll be more effective in what we're doing. So
exactly right.
Anyway, love it, Jason. Good topic. And just thinking about even today, what is that one decision that you can make today that you've been maybe pushing to the side or just neglecting, and what might it lead to down the road? And ask God to give you what you need, the resiliency or the courage or the perseverance to make a decision, see what happens. So good stuff.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for listening. Ministry is hard. It is so much better when we do it together.